Alright, so we'll get started. We're going to start out with the same like 2 by 2 or 3 by 3 square. And then in any direction, you're going to draw 2 parallel lines that are pretty close together. I mean, you can make it whatever you'd like. And then they can go in any direction. It can go up and down. They can be exactly square or parallel, whichever way you want them to go. Or they can be random, kind of like what I've drawn. And then anywhere in the middle, somewhere on the edge, wherever you want to start, you're just going to draw kind of an elongated rectangle. And you're going to do them in a row, kind of like the middle paint stripes on a road, but they're going to be kind of close together. The only thing that you want to make sure you do is you don't color through those 2 parallel line sets that you just drew first. Everything that you draw is going to go behind those lines. The tops of the rectangles and the bottoms of the rectangles are slightly rounded. You can make them perfectly square if you prefer it to be a little bit more structured. You certainly can do that. Mine are just going to be, they're just random. I am using a Sharpie because it's a little bit easier to color them in. It's a little bit faster, but you certainly can do them with the pen. So when you start the next row, you're going to want to go between the lines, kind of like bricks. The mortar doesn't line up and go straight up and down. You don't want the lines from the adjacent row or column to be in line with each other. It looks a little funny. So you can make this next row a little bit different size. They can be a little bit fatter, a little bit thinner, whatever it is that you want. You can alter the sizes, so you can start out with some longer pieces, and then you can make the one next to it be a little bit, on the top and bottom of it, a little bit shorter. It's totally random. It's entirely up to you what you want to do. They don't have to go straight up and down like these lines. My columns go straight up and down. Yours can go diagonally. They can go in any direction that you want them to go. So I think in this next row I'm going to draw a little bit shorter rectangles. They're going to be a little bit more stout as well, a little bit thicker than in the other 2 rows. You can certainly mix them up, like I said. It doesn't have to be the same thing. So you can just go ahead and listen to the music and fill out the entire section however it is that you desire. So there's the full design there. You can also reverse this pattern. So instead of having everything with the black background, you can have the horizontal items be black. So the little parallel lines that you drew first, those are what you would color in and make that black. You can make them a little bit thicker if you want them to kind of stand out a little bit. And then after that, your rectangles will be kind of an outline. Instead of filling them in, they'll just be the outline of the elongated rectangle, something like that. Obviously I just drew these pretty roughly, but you get the idea. So you can do whatever it is that you like. You can certainly switch them around. Alright, so we'll do the second one. You're going to need a square of some kind for this one as well. So just do the same kind of size or something similar. If you don't like squares, you can draw whatever you want. So for this one, you can go in any direction. You can go left to right, top to bottom, whatever it is that you want, horizontal, however you want. I'm going to just go bottom left to top right. And you're going to do a wavy line. You don't want any really sharp waves. It's not going to be a zigzag. And then you're going to draw these little pockets, kind of like what it would be an orange. If you look inside of an orange segment, it has kind of these little pockets of juice. That's kind of what you're drawing. And there just can be any random wavy line off of another one. You can do ones that take up the entire length. Skinny ones, fatter ones, you want to mix it up a little bit for when you do the actual design at the end. You don't want all the waves to go the same direction or have the same kind of pattern. Some should be close together, some should have a little bit wider middle part, or a little bit, like here, this one will make it a little bit wider, because you're going to fill these with circles. And if you have them all the same size, it's not going to be very interesting. It's going to be kind of, all the same. It's going to be a very uniform look. You don't really want that. And try to make sure that they round. Like that one kind of came in a little bit straighter onto that, so I just kind of rounded it off a little bit. Just make sure that they're round and sort of running along the line of the one previous. You don't want them to just die straight into the other line. So then you just fill up the entire section like that. Alright, so now that we have the whole section filled with the little wavy pieces, you're going to go ahead and fill in each of them with circles. So your circles should actually stack on top of each other. They shouldn't overlap. There shouldn't be a big gap in between. You want them to actually touch in the middle. You can draw ovals if ovals are a little bit easier for you to draw. It doesn't matter. You don't have to have them circular. But just kind of keep them uniform. So whatever you use in one segment, you want to use throughout the rest of it. So we're just going to go ahead, pick any one. Just doesn't matter where you start. Just pick any one of them. Any area that's really skinny like that, you're going to want to do a small circle. It's a little bit harder with the Sharpie to fill them in because the line of the marker is very thick. And so sometimes those really, really skinny ones right at the edge, the points of each segment can kind of disappear a little bit. So if you do use a pen, you can certainly fill in the background with the Sharpie. So now that I have this one filled in with circles, I'm going to go back and just on those very edges where they don't quite touch the side of the segment, I'm going to color them in so it's completely solid black behind. The only white will be the circles or ovals themselves. So you can do that through the entire section. So if you have to turn your paper to make it a little bit easier for you to draw, you can certainly do that. And you're just going to work your way around. It doesn't matter to me which direction you go. It is a time-consuming process, but it actually looks really very cool at the end. So just keep going. So when you have these bottom edges here, like when you get to the edge of your section or your square, you're going to do what I call the disappearing line. So you're going to have your shape kind of be in there, and then you draw those dashed lines around the outside so that you can kind of see where it's supposed to line up, and then you can keep going the rest of the way. You don't want every circle that you draw to sort of end on a line. You want to look like the pattern goes beyond or behind the line that you've drawn on the side or the top or the bottom. So by doing, cutting some of those ovals or circles kind of in half, and having them some sort of disappear behind that line will help create that illusion that the pattern keeps going. All right, so that looks, see, look, it looks very, very cool. So I love that design. So for the next one we're going to do, it's going to be a border. And we're actually going to start out with a pencil. So let me go grab mine really quick. Hold on one second. All right, so we're going to draw a very light line to start with. And it's just going to be kind of an arched line, like a piece of string that's sort of hanging down a little bit from one side. It can go anywhere you want. You can have as long as you like. You can have as many the little decorations on here as you like. So you're going to take your pen or your Sharpie and you're just going to draw a very small rectangle here, and then it's going to kind of go through another rectangle. So the top rectangle, the little one at the top, should be through the line, and then the big rectangle that goes behind kind of goes right through that bottom edge of the little one on the top. And you can certainly draw all of this in pencil until you know, if you were trying to space it out correctly. You can draw the whole thing in pencil and then trace it at the end. It's up to you. It's really tricky for me to get all my rectangles the same for some reason. So you can, you want to try and make them as uniform as possible because they all are the same item. So if you make them kind of different sizes, different thicknesses, it'll lose a little bit of the effect. So I'm going to leave a little gap here because mine's actually going to say something. And then I'm just going to repeat that just a little bit down. Oh, he's got a little bit round, but you get the idea. So try and make those bottom rectangles, especially the ones hanging below the line, you want to make those be a similar size kind of all the way across. Just need a little bit longer string here. Again, you don't have to draw this many. This is what I'm going to write. I'm going to write something on mine. So these are the number of letters I need. Okay, so now you're going to go back and you're going to draw a square in the top section of each of the larger rectangles. So this square should not touch the little rectangle at the top. It should just have the same spacing on the top, the right and the left, and then a very large bottom area. So the gap at the bottom should be the same kind of all the way across. And if you can kind of see what they look like little Polaroid pictures hanging from clothespins. So that's the idea that you're going here for. All right, so now you're going to go back to the top and you're going to trace over the piece of string or that first line you did in pencil. And you're just going to go through, make sure you don't color the line through those little teeny tiny top rectangles. It should look like the clothespins are hanging off of the string, so they should go kind of behind that section. You can put little bows or something at the end if it's meant to attach to something. It's up to you. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my message inside. You can do whatever you want in these. You can just have them be, you can put little pictures in there. If this is maybe for a card or something, you can cut out little pictures of people and put them in there. You can draw little stick people, or you can just do a message like that. So today is my daughter's 7th birthday, so I thought I'd just do this for her. So there we go. You can have this be, again, as long as you want, anything you want to do with it. It's really, really fun, cute little doodle. You can use it on your Zen doodles if you want to kind of have it hang off the design. It's entirely up to you. So I hope that you enjoyed our doodles for today, and we'll see you next week.